and not just stay, right? And then try to understand what they are going through, and then also try to understand how we can help, not uh, one time help, right? And we are wanting to help them, trying to be one among them. And then after doing this, then there are some people who will like us, then some people who will appreciate us, and some people who will express gratitude. But at the same time, there are some people who will throw brickbats at us, who will criticize us, who will offend us, uh, and then who will deny us helping them, and then who, to such an extent that they can deny that we are existing, then we had a form at all, and all this, right? Uh, I think most of you would have understood what I am trying to say, right? And then and then you see the position as a king that we are in, that we are not obligated to anybody at all. We are not doing this because we want anything from them. Our existence is for any aspect, be it physical, mental, any aspect. We are not dependent on anybody at all. But still, we are going and trying to do this. How many of us think we can do this selflessly without expecting and taking all the good and bad and worse from everybody? How many of us
We are
fancy?
not
I
ready,
cannot do
Mataji.
it selflessly. How many of us
We
can do
can't.
it?
We can't do, Mataji.
And then still love so much, uh, true love, not expecting. So yeah, I think I don't have to explain anything further. What it talks here is about the Lord coming in various species, you see, right? We have rejected him. We've said, you are not this. Then you have no heart. I'm going through so many hardships. You don't realize what I'm going through. You're not helping me, right? So, what is Brahma praying to such a Lord, right? Who always has this causeless mercy, right? And then coming in various species, uh, and then he never shows this aspect of coming as a boar. How can I come as a pig? Uh, Nothing, not even for a moment. The Lord thinks if it is needed for devotees, then he will definitely come in whatever way he wants. He can become a driver, and then he can come as a small brahmana, whatever way, as a half man, half lion. Here, if we supposedly we find here, it would be an object in circus, and then people would go to see such a person, something very amazing, and then give money and then make fun and things like that. Nothing stops him from helping devotees, especially the pure devotees. So such a great personality, right? Uh, I offer my obeisances, Brahmaji. Brahmaji is saying, Lord Brahma is saying. And then, of course, Srila Prabhupada in the purport talks of the shloka 9.11, Avanjananti Mamuda Manushim Tanmashita. See, the example that I took, then most of us, I mean, at least I'm talking from my perspective, definitely, I mean, being so selfless and then giving true love is something far beyond my conception as of now. Right? Why is it that Lord or his pure devotees or Vaishnavas, pure devotees and pure Vaishnavas are not affected by avijja, by the material aspect, material contamination? Material contamination can happen to the material body. It cannot contaminate the soul. So, uh, if people or people with other kind of beliefs or other kind of faith think that because the Lord is coming in various forms, then he is being contaminated by the material world. Okay, he's called Mudha. Bhagavad Gita says, that Krishna says, such a person is called Mudha. Because nothing is material about the Lord, nor his body, nor his activities, nor his thought, nothing at all is. That is why, because he doesn't have a material body, even though he creates anything, he is not affected by the material world, right? And then why does he do this? That famous sloka of Padma Purana, right? It says, Sadhavo Hrudya Mahyam Sadhu. No, it is not. It is Bhagavatam shloka. I'm sorry. Sadhavo Hrudya Mahyam Sadhu Nam Hrudayam Tvaham Mat Anyete Na Janante Naham Tebhyo Managapi. It is Shrimad Bhagavatam shloka, Canto 9, 4, Chapter 4, shloka 68. The translation goes like this: Srila Prabhupada ki jai. The devotees are always in my heart, and I am always in hearts of devotees. The devotees does not know anything beyond me, and I also cannot forget my devotee. Intimate relationship between me and pure devotees is in full knowledge are never out of spiritual touch, and therefore they are very dear to me. Right? That is how in one recent lecture, it is not only, I was listening, it is not only offensive to think that I can be God, it is also very offensive to think that I can become one of the Nitya Siddhas of the Lord. Nitya Siddhas, like say, we may like Krishna in the Vatsalya Bhava, but then we should never try to think that I can become like Mother Yashoda. That is also offensive. Because the pure devotees or the Nitya Siddhas of the Lord, Nitya Siddha means what? That means they are eternally the Lord's associate. Eternally, Mother Yashoda, Devaki are all mothers of the Lord. We can only try to, what to say, be their assistants. I mean, that is what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, as Lord himself said, you can be the servant of the servant of the servant of the. So the aspect of this shloka is that how merciful the Lord is, and why the aspect we always say that we have to surrender to the Lord, do everything to the in service of the Lord, because there can be no other better well-wisher other than the word Suhruda in the last shloka of 5th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. Suhrudam sarvabhutanam. Suhruda. Actually, Acharya says there is no equivalent word in English. It cannot be translated at all. Such a dear friend. I have to use a word. So, such a dear friend the Lord is. Such a Lord who is Atma Rama, who doesn't need anything or anybody to for anything at all, still comes to this material world for the pure devotees, and of course in the bargain, because of the pure devotees, the mercy of the pure devotees, because of the mercy of the Lord, that we also are benefited. Okay, so we'll go to text 20. Suma Mataji can read the
Hare
shloka,
Krishna.
and yeah,
Hare Krishna
Anasuya
Mataji.
Mataji can read the translation. Yes, Mataji, please read.
यो विद्ययानुपहतोऽपि दशार्धवृत्तया निधृत्य निद्रम् उवाह जठारि कृतलोकयात्रः अन्तर्जले हि कशिपु स्पर्शानुकूलाम् भीमोर्मि मालिनी जनस्य सुखं विवृण्वान्. Hare Krishna. I'm sorry, Mataji, I could not read.
Yeah.
Hare Krishna
It's not
Mataji,
words, all
Dandavat Pranam. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. My Lord, you accept the pleasure of sleeping in the water of devastation, where there are violent waves, and you enjoy pleasure on the bed of snakes, showing the happiness of your sleep to intelligent persons. At that time, all the universal planets are stationed within your abdomen. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So here, Lord Brahma is saying how even the sleep of the Lord is so transcendental, right? And then it also says in the translation, Srila Prabhupada says, your sleep is only, showing happiness of your sleep to intelligent persons only. Now, why is Srila Prabhupada saying intelligent persons only? Of course, Srila Prabhupada is saying what Lord Krishna is saying. Right? We'll just understand how grossly ignorant we are. Right? We'll take an example of a game, any game, right? I will not name any game as such. The game can have 2 teams or 10 teams, whatever. Now, what happens in a game, right? Game, some people have practiced and they are playing in the aspect that each team or each individual wants to win. And then when they are playing, so what are the others? What as audience we are doing? There are some games like cricket, football, basketball, and all these things. People take off, and then they spend time in front of either going there physically or watching it over the TV. So what are we doing? We are spending our time, we are spending our money, we are spending our intelligence, we are spending our human life, everything. For what? For someone to win. And then among the teams, this is on the audience side. This is how we are, we're showing our gross ignorance. Now, does it matter at the end of the day who is winning and who is losing? And for that, what we have spent? We have spent our hard-earned money, spent our time, and then invariably we end up eating, drinking there, which is definitely not good for our health. And then in the game, it can be that our BP or things can raise, and then health can also be deteriorated. So this is the ignorance that we are in. Now let's take of the people who are playing. Now how misery, initially they are in such anxiety that each team wants to win or each individual wants to win. And then at the end of the game, one team wins. And then the team that wins think they are happy. Of course, they express their happiness. But then the moment that celebration or whatever is over, right? Obviously, the team that did not win is in misery. They think they are in misery because they did not win. And then their endeavor to win the next time, next season or next game goes on with more vigor. The team that is won, if we think they are happy after the celebrations, what happens? Now they have to maintain their position. Now they are in more anxiety than the team that lost to keep up their position of winning. Now you see in the whole bargain, what I'm trying to drive at is how grossly we are engrossed in things that just doesn't matter. Even on the material aspect, 10 years down the lane, if we think, how has it actually benefited us? Okay, money wise it may have benefited, or fame wise it may have benefited the people who are playing or people who won or lose. But 10 years down the lane, what happens? Do anybody remember that? The famous example is of Muhammad Ali. Like he said, even if God comes in front of me, I can defeat him. And then what happened at the end of his life? He could not lift a cup of tea. Then he realized, right? So why wait for such kind of such kind of extreme, extreme situations for us to understand the supremacy of the Lord, or to understand who exactly we are, right? what makes more sense uh, to be to understand and follow what is more in tune with human life, or what is more permanent, or makes sense to always be running behind temporary things? What makes more sense? Forget intelligence. What makes more sense?
To understand the human life.
The human life and what is permanent, right? So when we are so grossly ignorant of things, then if we are trying with that, this kind of ignorance, if we are trying to understand, or we are trying to say somebody is sleeping, okay, let's say somebody is sleeping, that is also divine. The Lord's sleep is also divine, and in the sleep, the Lord can create and he can do so many things, and even in the waves he can even in huge waves, the Lord can sleep. How can we understand such esoteric or such subtle things, right? Even Rishi like Markandeya, who did tapas for so many years, like the Lord was bewildered when he said, I want to see Pralaya. Right? It says, because the Lord, says, you want to see destruction, right? And of course, because he's such a great devotee, the Lord shows him what exactly it means to be in Pralaya, and then gives his darshan also. Right? And then the description, such beautiful description there, that how the Lord is not touched by Maya. Like in that whole of destruction in the Pralaya, Markandeya Rishi sees one beautiful leaf, and on that there's one effulgent person lying down, and then that famous thing of the Lord holding his lotus feet with his lotus hand, and putting his into his lotus mouth, and tasting the nectar of his lotus feet, all lotus, right? He sees that, and then the Lord brings him out of this aspect of Pralaya and back to his ashram, and then Markandeya Rishi also realizes, what did I ask for, right? So this is how we can, why I brought out this aspect of how grossly ignorant, or how is why it is why that is the reason why it is difficult for us to understand Krishna, or transcendental aspect of Krishna, the sleep of Krishna. It can be the leelas of Krishna. In fact, even the pure devotees activities, there are so many times even pure devotees activities also we have, we get bewildered with, why did they do this? So if we have to understand these aspects, that how the Lord can sleep on a serpent, how he can sleep on water, on the ocean where there are so many ways, we have to purify ourselves. We have to do seva, tadvidhi pranipatena pariprashnena. Serve the people who have understood this, so that they gave us this jnana, or they give us this knowledge for us to understand, right? So sleep is also transcendental, is what we have to understand. The last part of the purport, Srila Prabhupada says, the distinction of the Lord is that his activities are all transcendental, and he is able to do anything and everything without being deterred by limitation of time and space. He can enjoy his transcendental happiness regardless of material considerations, right? Now, at this moment, if I get a cough, if I get a cold, I would not even be able to relish Bhagavatam, not even be able to speak. So, how much we are constrained, constrained. So, we need the mercy of the acharyas for us to understand this aspect of transcendental topics and the transcendental divine nature of the Lord, so that we can also move in the path of spirituality, right? So we'll go to text 21. Sudha Mataji can read the shloka and Divya Mataji can read the translation.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Danda Pranam.
Hare Krishna.
Yanna Vipadma Bhavana Dharma Samidya Lokatrayopakarano Yadanugrahena Tasmai Namastu Udarasta Bhavaya Yoga Nitra Avasana Vikasanna Vinekshanaya. Thank you, Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Translation by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. O object of my worship, I am born from the house of your lotus navel for the purpose of creating the universe by your mercy. All these planets of the universe were stationed within your transcendental abdomen while you were enjoying sleep. Now your sleep having been ended, your eyes are open like blossoming lotuses in the morning. Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavat Pranams.
Hare Krishna. So, in this shloka purport, Srila Prabhupada is emphasizing two aspects, one of Archana and the other of Sadhana, when it should start. Right? Srila Prabhupada says, here the Lord is giving an indication as to how we have to wake up at the Brahma Muhurta and start our sadhana. And tomorrow we are going to begin with the very most merciful month of Damodar month. And then and mercifully devotees like Ashish Prabhu has given us groups, tasks to keep us on our toes, right? To purify ourselves. So you see how the mercy is flowing through. And Srila Prabhupada says how it is important for devotees to rise up early in the morning and then do Mangalarati to start the day with. Now let's see. See, traditionally, we as kids, okay, people of my age can relate to this. Traditional families, traditionally, even in India, just some 2, 3, 4 decades ago, if you see the thing, the day started in any household was with the puja, with worship, right? And then everybody had to come there. That means everybody would have been done with their bath in the morning, and they have to come there to take the arati, then take the charanamrit, then the day started. Now, what is this traditionally teaching us? The Vedic way of life. One is discipline. The other is who is actually the boss of the house. And then by doing this, the very aspect of the dependency on the Lord. Yes, thank you, Suma Mataji, for that. And the very aspect of everybody coming together for that, keeping the family together. Then you're starting the day with the most positive note. And in the bargain, you're teaching patience, teaching determination, giving the right intelligence to carry us throughout the day. That is why if we see the number of heart attacks, number of diseases earlier, individually it was less. Even though they were stressful situations, the people were able to take it because of this one aspect of praying in the morning, leaving the house, just before leaving the house, with prayers. But you see now what happens. Okay, we start the day with work. We first of all wake up. I mean, in general note, people don't think. Think they can take bath at any time, and then start with work, or they are working throughout the night, and then the day starts when half the day is over, in the afternoon. And then very nicely, Gauranga Prabhu was saying why people are so all the more miserable now. Because we start a day with overthinking, right? Rather than overthanking. He said, start your day with thanking. Right? When we thank, then you see any situation we are in, this is also an exercise individually we can. Any situation we are in, especially when we're there trying situations, make a list of things that we have, and make a list of things that we are trying to be miserable for. Definitely, the things that we have are a longer list than the things that we are lamenting or feeling miserable for. That very aspect itself, that is what he said. Start thanking for what you have. Begin your day with that. So it will keep our mind in the right frame of, in the right frame to understand that nothing is in our control. If I'm lamenting, that means that I'm trying to control something, right? Here, Srila Prabhupada makes a very profound and powerful statement in the purport. He says, to think either positively or negative is still thinking materially. Even thinking positively also is material. Because when I'm thinking positive, when I'm doing something, then my expectation is things will be positive. Right? Now, the exercise that we did for the previous shloka, the first shloka, like, going there without expecting anything, even though people are ridiculing, I will still give 100% love without expecting, right? That will not happen if we are thinking positively. Because when I'm thinking positive, I'm expecting, some kind of result, right? That karmanyavadikaraste part doesn't happen. So with this traditional way of, and the Brahma Muhurta, the puja, see how personal personal we become. We offer things to Lord, then we take it from Him, and then we also accept the form of the Lord, right? And then in the purport, Srila Prabhupada says, when we are accepting the person, the Lord as a person, then we can expect Him to sleep also. Because if He is the cause of all causes, then if everything is emanating from Him, then sleep also should emanate from Him. Right? Unlike the Mayavadis who think if the Lord is sleeping, then that means he must be in the influence of Maya. Because sleep means, for us, sleep means ignorance, right? But and then because of the example that I gave in the 20th sloka of how grossly ignorant we are, we think if anybody sleeps, then it has to be in ignorance, because that is how we are conditioned to, right? And never try to go beyond our condition and try to understand that there can be somebody who's sleeping and not ignorant also. See, if you take the Lord creation, how do we sleep? Can we sleep with our eyes open? Has anybody at least I cannot. Has anybody tried to sleep with their eyes open?
No, Mataji.
But the fish do. Do you know the fish sleep with their eyes open? Can we comprehend that? We cannot even comprehend a thing in the material world. And when we are trying to equate our understanding with the spiritual world, right? So, in the purport, Srila Prabhupada says that is why we should not try to, equate anything with what the Lord does with what it's. In fact, it should be the other way around. Since this material world is a perverted reflection, we should understand whatever the Lord has done, it is a perverted reflection of it here. And so He being the cause of all causes, right? He has a form. Then if he is doing activity, then in that activity, sleep is also an activity. And why is this so difficult for people to understand? Is because they get their knowledge not from the bona fide sampradayas. They get knowledge from anybody and everybody. And in fact, if you get it from the correct source, right, from Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, why the impersonal is klesho adhikaratas tesham avyakta sakta chetasam avyakta hi gatir dukkam deha vaptiravakyate. He says in chapter 12, shloka 5. Klesho adhikaratas, he says it is very difficult for these people. It's like Srila Prabhupada, if I have to quote Srila Prabhupada, going to the 100th floor, going by steps. He will reach there, yes, but climbing the steps, right? The bhakti marga, or the whatever the Lord has said, right? That is like going in the lift. Even there we get stuck going in the lift. The lift can, have obstacles and it can stop, the power can go fail and other things. But still, it is the bhakti marga is a better route. Because only in the bhakti marga, okay, Srila Prabhupada never uses the word bhakti alone. Okay, he always uses bhakti seva. And seva can be done only for a person. Seva cannot be done for a light or energy. That is where the understanding is incomplete. Would not say it is wrong, but it is not complete. Okay, so we are in the last shloka for today. Radhika Ragini, Radhika Mataji will read the shloka. Prashanti Mataji will read the translation.
Rasrangi Mataji.
Okay. Prashanti Mataji, please read the shloka, and Anita Mataji will read the translation.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandat Pranam.
Hare Krishna.
Soyam samasta jagatam sufrudeka atma sattavena yanvrudayate bhagavan bhagena tenaiva me drishya manusprishatadya ittaham Zakshami purvadidam pranatat priyosa. Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna. Dandat Pranam.
Anita Mataji, please read the translation.
Anita Mataji.
Okay,
Rasrangini Mataji. Yeah.
Hare Krishna Mataji, I'll do the next shloka Mataji. Hare Krishna. Thank you.
We are on the last shloka Mataji for today. You want to read the translation?
I'll do the shloka Mataji.
That's already read actually.
Shall I read the translation, Mataji, then?
Yeah, okay, Mataji, please go ahead.
Translation by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, Prabhupada Ki Jai. Let the Supreme Lord be merciful towards me. He is the one friend and soul of all living entities in the world, and He maintains all for their ultimate happiness by His 6 transcendental opulences. May He be merciful towards me so that I, as before, may be empowered with the introspection to create. For I am also one of the surrendered souls who are dear to the Lord. Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Now, these are Brahma's prayers. So let's see few aspects of Brahma. First of all, Brahma was born from the lotus which emanates from the Lord's navel. So his birth itself is divine. Then he was directly instructed by the Lord, and that too just 4 shlokas of Shrimad Bhagavatam, Chatushloki, and which was expanded as 18,000 shlokas later, right? And then the next aspect, the Chaturmukha Brahma, he is reciting each Veda from each mouth, right? And then he is also the first being created in this material universe. So some of the aspects of Brahma. Such Brahma, what is he saying? He's saying please be merciful towards me, because and empower me so that I can create and continue the process of creation. What is the aspect of Brahma that we are seeing here? Even though he is so exalted, being the first person in the material universe, and also being empowered to create, or rather give the bodies. Creation, of course, is done by the Lord. He is saying, please be merciful, so that, why should the Lord be merciful to him? So that the Lord, the Brahma doesn't get bewildered that he is the creator, or he doesn't think he is the doer. So now let's relate this to us, because he knows the Lord is the controller and the Lord is merciful. So we'll see how it relates with us. What do we think? Ahankara vimudātma kartāham iti manyate. We think we are the doers. That's why in the shloka, Krishna says, Vimuda Atma, not only foolish, very, very foolish. Right? And we'll see some of the examples where how various aspects should keep reminding us of this. I was listening to His Holiness Radhanath Maharaj was explaining a few aspects in this particular shloka. He was talking about Lord Himself, how He gives credit to His devotees. That He gets power from His devotees to give out His mercy. This instance Maharaj was talking about when the four Kumaras, right? The four Kumaras go to see the Lord, and then they curse Jaya Vijaya there because they did not allow him. And when the Lord comes out to give darshan to or to take note of what is happening around, the Lord is telling the Kumaras that because of my devotees, right, because of their purity, I am getting the strength to give mercy, give benediction. This is the position the Lord is taking. That he thinks he's explaining that he is dependent on his devotees. Exactly with the Damodar Leela also, right? The Lord is crying, and he's feeling fearful of Mother Yashoda. Is he actually feeling fearful? What do we think? Is the Lord afraid of Mother Yashoda? Yes or no?
No, Mataji.
Actually, the Lord is afraid. Why is he afraid? Let's
He
see.
has so much of love, Mataji.
Exactly. He forgets that he is the Lord. Yeah, bound by love. Yes, Sindhu Mataji, thank you for that. He's bound by love. That he wants to forget that he's the Lord. Like exactly how a Supreme Court judge, when he goes home and he's playing with his grandchild, okay, putting the grandchild on his back and then becoming an, whatever, behaving exactly like the grandchild small, he forgets that he's the Supreme Judge. He wants to forget, because if he remembers that he's Supreme Court judge, then he won't be able to do all that he does with his grandchild. So exactly the same way the Lord wants to forget. And then, so when he forget, even the example given is like when a actor is playing a role, he is so engrossed as that particular character that he forgets that he is that person. So the Lord is playing the role of a son, and just to give pleasure to that Vatsalya, the love that is coming from Yashoda, he forgets that he is the Lord, and he makes, he shows that he is fearful, right? So the Lord himself is saying that I am surrendered to my pure devotees' love. And then the other example Maharaj was giving is like When people take water from Ganga and then they pour out, they offering prayers to Mother Ganga. First of all, Ganga herself is so expansive. There's tons and tons of water. But then, and then we try, whoever is trying to offer, take how much water they can take. And then why in the process of taking water, a lot of water is lost there. But then it's still offered to the Lord. Mother Ganga accepts it. So this is what is the main lesson that is coming from all these examples, that no matter what we are, we are always the servant of the Lord. I mean, we are always dependent on the Lord, right? And then if we get to the aspect of being very proud of have any of the four things, like Kunti prayers. What does Kunti Maharani say? Janmaishwarya Shruta Shri Vedamana Madah Puman Naiva Satya Abhidhatum Vai Tvam Akinchana Gocharam. This is Shloka 26, Canto 1, Chapter 8, translation by Prabhupada. My Lord, your Lordship can easily be approached, but only by those who are materially exhausted. One who is in the path of material progress, like trying to improve himself with respectable parentage, great opulence, high education, and bodily beauty, cannot approach you with this sincere feeling. Materially exhausted, does it mean that that somebody who is poverty stricken is only a pure devotee of the Lord? Is that what we have to understand?
No, Mataji.
No. Irrespective of what position we are in, what we have, if we are using it in the service of the Lord, right? That itself is being a kinchana gochara, right? Materially exhausted. So Brahma is showing us in Kunti, all exalted devotees of the Lord, Ambarish Maharaj, all of them are showing us, what are they showing us? That no matter what we possess, if we think that possession, it can be in the name of talent, it can be physical or subtle, right? If we think that we possess it because we have worked towards it, that is going to take us away from the Lord. Because anything that we do, there is always somebody who can do it better than us, right? And since the Lord himself, is Puna, he doesn't need anything that we are going to do it for him, right? Because he is complete, paripurna in everything. If you take the 6 opulences, anybody wants to list what are the 6 opulences that the Lord has in full?
Fame, wealth, beauty,
Strength,
beauty,
knowledge,
fame, and renunciation.
renunciation.
You see, we can very easily relate to all the 5 things. I mean, at least that is what every time I think of the opulences of the Lord in full, we can very easily relate to, wealth, beauty, knowledge, fame, and power. These 5 things, right? But then when it comes to renunciation, is where we get stuck. Because when we have something, then we are so attached, thinking that is mine, right? Krishna, no matter what he has, he is the perfect renunciate, right? So he himself is showing that irrespective of what one has, that one has to not be attached to it. But then it has to be used for the right purpose. So Brahma in his prayers is first of all glorifying the Lord. And today's the last shloka for today, or whatever we discussed now, is giving us this lesson of how we should be humble to take the mercy of the Lord and His devotees to do whatever we have to do. And keep on remembering this every moment of our life, not just when we are doing. Even if I have to speak now, right? If I have to remember something, and that unless the Lord is sanctioning that, I will not be able to do it. Matta smritir gnanam apohanam cha. He says, I am giving. Krishna is saying in 15, chapter 15 shloka, I am giving the knowledge. I am giving the remembrance. I am giving the forgetfulness also. So if I forget something, I don't have to fret. A lot of people start, especially when they're growing old, so much, I'm forgetting so much now. So that is also mercy of the Lord. Right? If we had not forgotten, if we think, if we have to, why Krishna is making me forget, just think of this. If I am to remember all my previous lives, if he gives that remembrance to us, all of us will end up in a crazy place, right? We won't be able to live our lives to that extent peacefully also. Imagine if we gave the remembrance of all our previous lives, right? So forgetfulness of the Lord is also a super mercy. Everything is absolute about the Lord. See, this is how we understand how absolute the Lord is and how in absolute we are, right? So with that, we can close today's discussion. And I thank all devotees for patiently hearing me out, which was purely for my purification. It may sound that I'm repeating this, but then every time I prepare for the class, it is definitely I'm my first student. I learn more, more than what I am able to express here. So I thank everybody, and then prayers for this endeavor, small endeavor, though being a conditioned soul. Then anything worthwhile is definitely the mercy of my Gurudev and the Parampara. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Bol, Hare Krishna Mataji. Excellent session as usual. So any questions, comments by devotees? No questions are there. Can we end the class? Mataji?
Yes, Mataji. Thank you very
Yeah,
much.
okay.
Thank you, devotees. Vanchakalpatarupasya kripasindhubhyo patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namo koti vaishnavebhyo jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gurudev ki jai.
From Monday, we will do Damodar Aarti after the session. So please keep your diyas ready, and it will take only 3 to 4 minutes. So we will continue this up till Damodar month. Hare Krishna, Hare Bol. In advance.
Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna, Pranam.
Hare Krishna, Namaskar.
Shall I end the session, Mataji?
Yes, Mataji, please.
Okay. Hare Krishna, Mataji. Pranam.
Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Dandavat Pranam.